Hi everybody, this is Scott Sharp with Fretboard Toolbox, and today I wanted to do a video for intermediate or advanced players or teachers on my new theory by handbook. And for this idea, if you got to be able to hold your hand like this, and so if students can or players can put a rubber band in to hold their fingers here until they get it down, once you can make this hand shape, some really cool things happen. So let me show you how it works. Okay, with this theory by handbook, people can see how to build major minor scales, major minor pentatonic, blues scales, the notes that make up chords, and then which chords are found in major and minor keys. So I've identified these 8 big ideas, like building major scales, the major pentatonic, building common chords, chords that make up major keys, chords that are the notes that make up blues scales, natural minor scales, minor pentatonic, and then chords that make up minor keys. So if you're a teacher or you're advanced and you already see these ideas, hopefully I can show you real quick how all this works. So I've laid out a chromatic fretboard or keyboard here so that people can see how far the different notes are, and sometimes when students don't know which 2 notes are right next to each other, I tell them big cats or blue cats eat fish, and so the BC's right next to each other and then the EF's right next to each other. And then I think it's important that they know that each note can only be used once unless you're breaking rules. And then being able to see the whole and half steps. So when you hold your hand like this is the major root, so do, and then you go a whole step to re, a whole step to mi, a half step to fa, that's why we got those 2 together, a whole step to sol, a whole step to la. So this is the tricky one, but I wanted people to be able to make it on one hand. So do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti is your 7 note, and then do is back to 1. And so then what I did is I laid out those hand gestures so people can see how far the different notes are, and then I went through and showed for all the different major scales what those notes are and the steps between them. And then I made up some worksheets so that people can see if they can fill those things out and figure out what those major scales are. So they see major scales with the hand like this, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And then to see the pentatonic scales, for people that want to know those scales, people think that often folks are thinking that pentatonic scales are much more intense than they are. You can just show them that it's 1, 2, 3, skip the 4. So do, re, mi, skip the fa, sol, la, and then skip the ti. So you're skipping 4 and skipping 7, and then I want people to be able to see those notes laid out all over here. And then for like with this interactive book, you can always click on the page number and go back to the table of contents. Then I want people to see how to build chords, which I feel like doesn't get taught enough, but it's pretty cool with this hand method because once you identify those fingers and you can see 1, 2, 3, well, your flat 3 is going to be right here, a half step down from 3. If you need a flat 5 note, it's right here. And then it was 5, 6, 7. If you need a flat 7, it's right here. So then I laid out a C major scale here, and then I'm showing people which notes build the chords. So majors are always built out of 1, 3, 5. Minors are 1, flat 3, 5. A dominant 7 is going to be 1, 3, 5 with a flat 7. Major 7, you know, you'd have this 7 note here. So just being able to show them that we're just using different notes or modifying notes from the major scale makes some cool things happen. And then the chords that make up major keys, so they can see one note is major, or the one chord. The one note becomes the one chord, it's major. The 2's minor, the 3's minor, 4's major, 5's major, 6 minor. And then if you're a music theory person, you can teach them the 7 is diminished, or if you're just teaching popular music, you can tell them that you can ignore that 7 because it doesn't get played much. and you can teach them the flat 7 being played as a major chord here is really common. So I just want people to be able to see which notes make up the chords. I want them to see which chords sound good together. And then with my Fretboard Toolbox books, what I've done is take all those major keys and blues keys and minor keys, and they can see which chords fit in the key, which notes make up the scale. And I'm showing the flat 3, excuse me, the flat 3 and the flat 7, excuse me. And then being able to see the major, some common major chord progressions. Let me take a moment. Okay, I want people to be able to see major chord progressions, some common major chord progressions, some chord progressions that break rules, and all those rule breaking chords are in italics, and then some natural minor chord progressions. And here they can see the major scale notes laid out on a piano. Here's the key of G major, and that's my G major root. Then I want people to know relative minors. So we got E minor. E natural minor is E to E, and then the pentatonic notes in my books are always underlined. So G major and E minor pentatonic are underlined. And then once they kind of get the idea, then they can pick up new instruments, and they can see like G majors. Major chords are 1, 3, 5 notes. So if I know the 1, the 3, and the 5, then I can see G majors are always made of GBD. And then on a guitar here, I could see all my G major scale notes, my E natural minor notes, my pentatonic notes are underlined again. And you can kind of see those ideas on all the different instruments. So then the weird or the hardest part, well, we could show the blues first. So for blues scales, I'm showing people, we got the 1, skip the 2, the flat 3, so we're not doing 3, but we're doing flat 3. So blues scales, like the minor pentatonic, is 1, flat 3, 4, and then 5, and then we're going to skip the 6, not play the 7, but we're going to play a flat 7, and then you've also got the flat 5 in here. So if I wanted to play a blues scale with a flat 5, I'd have 1, flat 3, 4, flat 5, 5, flat 7, and then back to 1. So I've had a lot of luck with showing people which notes are making up the scales, and then where our rule breaking notes are. The thing I like about this is that I've got a flat 3, a flat 5, and a flat 7. Like my bluesy notes are in these pockets right here. And then I would say that the most confusing part for folks would be the natural minor stuff. And so with the natural minor, we're going to start on this finger because the natural minor is the 6th note of a major scale. So G major, G, A, B, C, D, E. And so when the key of E, G major's natural minor is, or relative minor is E. So we're going to go E, F sharp, G. So 1, 2, flat 3, 1, 2, flat 3, and then we're going to go 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, and then from flat 7 we'll go all the way back to the 1. So for major scales, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and then for the natural minor scales, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, and then back to the 1. And then you can show them which notes to skip, like for the natural minor pentatonic, for students who are more advanced like that. They can see skip the 2 note, skip the flat 6, and then you've got the E natural minor pentatonic. And I think it's really cool when they can see, oh, that's the same notes as the G major pentatonic. And then being able to show them those chords that sound good together is really huge. And so, like I was saying, I've got all those different chord progressions on here. And then, so when people understand some of those ideas, and when they understand those ideas, Then if we can show them ways to practice those ideas. So once I know those major scales, I want to play along with some chord progressions. And so I've got on my website all sorts of, let's see here, on my website I've got all these free chord progressions under tracks and tab, 200 free jam tracks. Then it's those same chord progressions in the key of G, the more progressions, the E minor, and then the blues jam tracks. And it's me playing through all of these tracks at 4 different speeds, so they can start playing around with the major scale or the major pentatonic or the blues scale and listening to how those sound over some different chord progressions. So anyways, I hope you found something useful there, and if you want to order one of the Theory by Hand books, you just go to More, click on Theory by Hand, and you can order it as a print book that I mail to you, an interactive ebook that we're using today so you can jump around the keys, and then a standard ebook, which is just this, but you just print it off yourself. And then if there's one of the instruments you're interested in, you can click on instrument, or one of your students is interested in singing, click on pick your instrument. I've got books for all these different instruments here, and you just pick which one you want. I've got a more basic essential book, and then I've got the more advanced complete book. And again, you can have it spiral bound and printed, or the interactive ebook or the non-interactive book. So I appreciate you taking a look. I hope you found something useful, and wish you all the best playing. Thanks a lot.